Well, hello and welcome to this week's episode of Real Hope Conversations. And guys, welcome to a new year. 2023 is here. And with it brings so much opportunity, a fresh slate. Some people like to start with resolutions and looking at things to fix in their life or ways to improve their life. But we really wanted to start the year focusing on vision, on the vision that God has for our life, the opportunities that He places before us, and really fixing our eyes on Him and who He is at the beginning of the year, rather than all the things in our life that we might want to fix or get rid of or move on. So we're joined by none other than Dwayne Jeffries.
Hello.
Who always brings wisdom into a conversation and maybe a couple of laughs at the same time.
Well, it's the beginning of a year, so hopefully an equal balance of two. One of those things that I've committed to this year is making more sense. So let's see how this goes.
First interview of the year, and that's the goal.
Yes,
make more sense.
Make more sense.
Okay. So for you, as you're heading into 2023 and thinking about vision, what are the things that you really focus on at the beginning of a year?
Good question, because when framing up my contribution to the Real Hope devotional, I realised that I needed a new way of starting, not just the year, but a new way of beginning a dialogue with God that didn't involve me doing more stuff to put me in contact with God.
Yeah.
And I was really struck by James, the scripture that I reference in my devotional, which is when we draw near to Him, He draws near to us. And I just had this sense in my spirit that sometimes I'm trying to lasso God into my world, trying to drag Him into my space, because somehow the inference is that He needs to be kind of made aware of what's going on in my world, that I'm using my own manual labor as a human to get the Creator of all things to understand what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it was a subconscious thing. It's not out of arrogance or hubris. It's just the way that we as humans often respond to the world, which is, for you and I to have a relationship, I'm going to need to let you know what's going on in my world.
Yeah.
It's a default. And so when I started thinking about vision, I started to think about the obstacles that I put in the way of my eye line to God, as opposed to how hard I can try or what new method or ritual I'm going to apply to bring God into my world. It's like, no, I'm in God's world.
Yeah.
And maybe my issue is that I'm putting boxes in the way between me and God. And so maybe the task I should feel the greater burden for is to move the boxes away.
Yeah.
Not so that God can see me, but that I can draw near to Him. So that's where I started.
I think that that's really interesting, because I actually think that so many people, particularly the last few years, have been difficult.
They have, yes.
For everybody. I think there is not one person out there who probably hasn't experienced difficulty in the last couple of years, let alone the pandemic, let alone the rise in economy, interest rate rises, all of those types of things. It's been difficult. And I do think that everybody is starting 2023 with maybe an exhale. Like, I kind of feel like it's not, you know how you start a year and you're like, yes, this is going to be my year and I'm going to lose the weight, or I'm going to go to the gym 5 times a week, or I'm going to do all of these things. And you write a list of all the things you're going to do. Yeah. Everybody that I've spoken to has been, there's got to be something different to start this year. It can't be, this is the list of things I'm going to do this year. It has to have a different perspective, because the list thing doesn't work for me anymore.
And I will add to that, and I think that there are those of us also who are still holding our breath.
Yeah.
So both exhaling, going, oh, thank you, that's over, but I still need to hold something in reserve, because the it of it being over isn't over yet. So I'm kind of bracing myself for whatever comes next, at the same time as wanting what just went by to be gone.
Yeah.
And that perpetual tension that I'm very much aware of, they're some of the boxes that I'm talking about, that I reference in the devotional. I use the analogy of moving into a new home, and when you walk into a new space, it's empty.
Yeah.
The doors are open and the blinds are all drawn out, and the light has a different feel to it when you walk into a new place.
Yeah.
And then we start to put our old stuff in it. And some of that old stuff is comforting and it gives us a framework. But some of that old stuff just brings the bit of the thing we just left into the new room. And not all of that is good.
Yeah.
And what are those things that I refer to tangentially? They include fears. They include the scar tissue, the emotional scar tissue that we may have come across in the last 12 months. They may include anger. They may include heartbreak and loneliness. They may include a sense of the perpetualness of tension that we seem to have drawn down over the last few years. There haven't been years so much as one long year since 2019.
Yeah.
For many of us.
Yeah.
And for others, maybe you found yourself at the zenith of your life and there was breakthrough and you saw blue sky, and I'm just so pleased that that's where you're at. But for others who just feel like the sky is just permanently obscured by whatever it is that is present in your life, how do you start something fresh when you're still in the last thing?
Yeah.
And there have been years for me where that's been the case, where I couldn't draw up any kind of animation around the newness of the new year because it just felt like more of last year, and I stopped counting the days anyway.
Yeah.
And if that's where you're at, then we empathise with you. That's a difficult place to be. All the more reason for us then to realise that the nature of our relationship with God isn't within our reach. God is the one holding us in his hand. You're not reaching out to drag God into your world, and it's not manual labour.
No, it's not.
It's the acceptance that my heart to draw near to God is all I'm being asked to do at the beginning. And then when you open your heart to that, then he draws near to us.
Yeah.
He's the active participant here. He's the supernatural being. He's the one who sees the end from the beginning.
Yeah.
Where we're still struggling with the middle bit. And on the occasion where I felt like that I'm doing another day after every day of last year and there's no differentiation between them, that's when I take a moment and meditate on the glorious relief that it is to know that in my blindness about what comes next, that God isn't afflicted with that blindness. And when he says, I draw near to you, he brings with him relief. He brings with him renewal. He brings with him a confidence that I myself can't muster from within me.
Yeah.
And that's a difficult thing to accept for somebody who's so driven to craft something great in my world or in my family. And we're all like this at some level. We're all control freaks, right? Well, we are. Let's be honest.
Because we all want to do things in our own strength as well, right?
Well,
We forget that God's even there sometimes.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I'm mindful of the fact that since I became a parent some 18 years ago, I'm more of a control freak now.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm there with you. Word.
So it's a humbling thing at the beginning of the year to realise that I'm at a juncture where I can choose what boxes to put back in my life for the new year.
Yeah. There is a sentence that you wrote in the devotional, and it made me pause. And you said, is there anything keeping Jesus on the other side of the room?
Yes.
In your life? And I went, whoa, like there are things in my life that are keeping Jesus on the other side of the room. And it's having that perspective to clear space and to clear a path for him to draw near to me.
Yeah.
But the way you phrased it made me go, it's not just God drawing near, it's what have I put in the way, or what are the things that are blocking him from getting to me?
Yes.
And what are the things that I need to be working on in my relationship with God to move out of the way so that he can draw closer to me?
And to be clear, the supernaturalness of God means that he sits outside of my capacity to block him from doing anything.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is my own acknowledgement. If you look at it in the Old Testament context, it's my choosing not to reconcile with the nature of God by hanging on to some stuff that keeps me blind,
Yeah.
that keeps me focused on self, that keeps me living in this delusional state that I'm in control of the stuff that vexes me most. I realized a few years back the things that worry me most are often late at night, number one.
Yeah, that's the time where your
Right.
brain goes crazy.
Yep. I catastrophize late at night. And the early morningness of the day, and here we are at the beginning of a new year, the early morning of 2023, that's where the sun rises. And the fears, I can choose to renew, to resuscitate the fears I had when I went to sleep and start where I left off. This is really practical, folks. Or I can choose to look at the sunrise and say, that thing last night that I was catastrophizing, it's my decision now to leave that alone. Not the fact that the problem goes away, but my exponential response to it.
I think that's the key, isn't it? It's a choice and it's our response to it.
Yes.
And I think it's a new way of thinking because we do choose our response to things.
Yeah.
And when we're responding to something out of the security and certainty of the hope we have in Jesus Christ and that he's an active participant in our life, and we know that, it shifts the way that we respond to something. When we're responding to something out of the, I'm doing things in my own strength and I do it all the time, that's when I catastrophize. That's when I get anxious. That's when I worry. That's when my brain creates whole new stories in my head about what's going on.
Yeah.
But when I'm certain on the hope that I have in God and certain that he is in it,
Yes.
my response is so vastly different.
Yep.
And it's a choice. It's not it is a choice to go, God here, world here.
And the key element of when I catastrophize is the I.
Yeah.
Right? So when I refer to what are you putting in your life that keeps God on the other side of the room, I'm talking about the fact that I am instrumental in making it more difficult for me to realize, celebrate, connect with, allow the creator of the universe, the objects that sit around you, the people that have their arms around you, the people perhaps that you've lost in the last year that you have eternal hope for. Why would we consciously put objects of our own making in the way of peace? And yet this is the nature of the fall of man.
It is
All of a sudden I became the creator of peace. When I choose to do life in the way that I'm just going to manhandle my life into such a fashion that others are going to stand in awe, hyperbole, the truth of the matter is I have put myself in the place where God created him to be in relationship with me, that space, that holy space. Whether we want to call it that or not, when we were fashioned in the likeness of God, there was a holy space put in our lives that only he can fill, but more importantly, that only when we allow him to fill it are we going to live out the life that he purposed for us to have. So the question is, what kind of lunacy would see us deliberately put something else in there?
Yeah.
Because it's never going to fit, number one. It will never last, number two. And number three, the very thing we most long for is meaning in life will continue to evade us when I put stuff that has no meaning in the place where only meaning lives.
That's a very profound sentence. And as you were talking, I kept thinking of, because when we put things in our way, our vision is not clear.
Absolutely. It shorts,
It shorts it, right? Yeah.
All of a sudden, the thing that I'm crying out for was, Lord, reveal to me what it is you want me to do while I'm standing before boxes that say this way up.
Yeah.
I mean, truly, that's what we're talking about here. Really practically, to mix the metaphor, is that if you want to see what comes next, move the stuff out that stops the next from coming into view.
Yeah. Because that blocks the light.
does.
And we've been talking about, and we will be talking about over the coming weeks, about how God and Jesus, like Jesus, it talks about in John that Jesus is the light that repels darkness.
Yep.
But when you have things in the way of the light can't spread as far as it needs to show you the step in front of you.
So true. So true.
Yeah. And that is blocking your vision.
Yep.
So as we're rounding this out, Dwayne, there are people who are listening who are like, yeah, I need to think about that. Yep. What's blocking my way? Yes, I need to make way for the light and clear my vision as I'm looking ahead. What would the things that you would say to them to encourage them, or some practical things they can be doing this week, as it's the first week of the year, to start thinking through these things?
Okay. I'm going to start at the end, and that is, and I mentioned this, don't try to be the piano mover in your own life. If you've got stuff there, some of that stuff you're going to feel like you need. And so the temptation will be to move the easy thing first. But the easy thing isn't the big object. The easy thing is probably not the thing that's blocking the light. It takes a courage and it takes a faithfulness that, honestly, sometimes I don't have the energy for either. So the first thing I'd say is call on the Lord to see what it is that you've got blocking the view. Number one. Ask for help in identifying the thing. The second is ask for help in moving it. Lord, I'm really scared of this thing that you're challenging me on. Like this thing is so big, I'm likely just to sit in the corner of the room and sit this one out, in which case nothing moves. So Paul calls it, help now my unbelief. Another way of saying that is, help me move the thing. Now that you've shown me what it is, give me the courage to move it. And the third thing is, and I'm really bad at this, is share that revelation with those that you know, love, and trust.
Yeah.
Somebody that does life with you. And if you don't have one, this is a chance to find one. Honestly, I read some statistics recently. A good friend of mine is involved in this study right now. He's saying that guys particularly are bad at having at least one other person that they can turn to and go, I am really in a hole here.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to make this about guys. All of us at some point are going to be challenged by who could I share that with. But please don't let not having somebody to share that with stop you from step 3. We are called to be in community.
Yeah, we are.
And it's not just, it's good to have people around. I'm talking about community where you can say, I'm really struggling with this thing. Maybe it's just accountability.
We can be real with somebody.
Somebody who checks in and go, how are you doing with that thing?
Yeah.
What can I do to help you with that thing? So, number one, just accept the fact that there's some stuff blocking your view. Call on the Lord to help you identify what that is, and for the courage to start to work on it, and then share that with somebody in your community so that you can work on it together.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I am excited to start thinking through the things maybe that I have blocking Jesus and keeping him on the other side of the room, because let's be honest, I don't want to do life this year without Jesus being right up close and personal with me. I don't know about what you're facing in your year, but I know that there is a sure and certain hope that you, friend, have when Jesus is standing right next to you, lighting the way so that you can see clearly forward. I hope that this week you take some time to reflect on what Dwayne said, on the devotionals that we've read this week. We would love to hear from you. If you would love to share with us maybe what you've been challenged by, maybe the things in your life that you're going to start to try to work on moving, because it is a process, we would love to hear from you. This is all about us journeying together as part of a community of believers who know and love God and know that he is a sure and certain hope that the world needs to hear. So if you want to get in contact with us, you can go down below, click on the link. It'll send you through to a page where you can get in contact with our team. But also, as Dwayne said, find community. Maybe share with your friends and your family this podcast and ask them maybe what things they need to move in their room to make space for Jesus to move in their life. Maybe you can keep each other accountable. Share this podcast with your friends and family and start the year with them, journeying together. And Real Hope Conversations is going to be here all year as well. We're going to continue to dive in to the Bible to seek to know and understand God better so that we can live a life that shines His name wherever we go. Friend, I'm looking forward to continuing to chat with you and journey with you this year. God has got some amazing things that He's going to be teaching us. So come along for the journey and let's start again next week with the next episode of Real Hope Conversations. Have a great week.